Good afternoon, everyone. We are today having here at You've Got Made of Northern Virginia office my good friend Tracy Endo. She's owner and founder at Nova Sports Coach, and also she's a writer of the book called Mind Over Medal. Tracy, thank you for being here today.
Thank you. I appreciate you asking me to come.
When I heard about you doing your first book, I was so eager to bring you in to talk about it because you're just adventurous, we know that. So tell us a little bit about you, who you are, what get you to get to the Nova Sports Coach and to write.
Absolutely. As Natasha said, I am the owner of Nova Sports Coach, and I coach competitive swimmers in the DMV, mostly in Loudoun County. I've been doing this going on 12 years. Well, it's been 12 years. I celebrated my 12th anniversary in January, so I'm very excited about that. And I've been noted Best of Loudoun youth swimming program for the past 4 years.
Yeah, congratulations.
Thank you. And I work, with a lot of summer swimmers and year-round swimmers to help them improve on their technique. I also have started some adult programs for triathletes, and also I'm working with adults that have a fear of swimming. I just started a new program for that, and I'm super excited about that going forward. So that's what I do for my business. For my pleasure, I love to hike. In 2021, I hiked over 100 hikes that year, and they wrote a big article about me in the Loudoun Times. And the following year, I hiked another 100 hikes. So I really love hiking. I go all over the DMV. I go to all the states surrounding us. I've been to places like Puerto Rico to hike. I've the rainforest in Puerto Rico, El Yunque. And I've been to Montana, to Glacier National Park, and to Yellowstone National Park. And I just came back in August from Peru, hiking Machu Picchu. So that was like an amazing time for me. So I love hiking Machu Picchu and just hiking in general. Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about the book. What inspired you to start writing? Is that maybe your adventures or?
Well, yeah, to give you a little background, my father was actually a journalist. He passed away in 2020, but he had led a life of journalism. I mean, that was his thing. What he loved the most was being a sports editor. And he spent most of his adult life in Cincinnati, and so he was sports editor for the Cincinnati Bengals and the Cincinnati Reds and all these big teams in Cincinnati. And the really interesting thing is when he passed away, I inherited all of his items, and I found a list of phone numbers of all the Cincinnati Reds phone numbers from back in like the 1970s, 1980s.
Wow.
Yeah, so it was really cool. I was like, I'm sure they're all landlines, so they're probably not, updated phone numbers, but it was kind of an interesting little thing to have possession of. But I've always enjoyed writing. When I was in high school, I used to keep a journal. I think I was in love with a different boy every week, maybe. But I kept a journal in high school, and I kept a journal every day in college. And then, once I got out of college and life started happening and responsibilities started coming along, I just kind of dwindled down on keeping a journal every day. But that's kind of how I got started in writing. I think if that's where I could say that's where it happened. It was just from that constant writing every single day that it just kind of became a passion of mine.
And how is the title come up? Mind Over Medal. I love that.
So the book that I published is called Mind Over Medal, and it's a handbook basically for parents and coaches that have student athletes with mental health issues.
Wow.
And I was, as a coach, a swim coach, competitive swim coach, There's a lot of mental aspect that goes on with the, whole highly competitive swimmers. So I was seeing this within the people around me, and I was seeing that this was something that, it was affecting me, and so I wanted to as a coach and as a parent of a student athlete, my daughter is going to be a D1 lacrosse player come next year. Yeah.
Nice.
So, having all that around me, it just made sense for me to write this book. So it was really thinking about, having the mental aspect of our sport being the most important rather than getting that medal.
Wow.
Yeah.
What was the one most surprising thing you learned while you are writing this book? And how long it took you, by the way, from beginning to finish?
Yeah, so from beginning to finish, it was very, very quick. I don't really remember exactly how long it took me, but the reason it was very quick is because it was so personal. And and one of the most personal things that I experienced as I'm writing this is I experienced the knowledge that made me look inside myself and find out that I had some mental health issues that needed to be addressed as well. So when I saw that, I couldn't write that book fast enough. I needed to get it in the hands of every person that had anyone in their life that was experiencing mental health issues. Yeah. The unfortunate part was that it was geared towards student athletes. So I'm actually in the process of finishing a second book that is just geared towards navigating your child's mental health.
Wow. So is this kind of like continue of the first one?
It's not. No, it's different than the first one, but the same topic. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's great. So, when you are writing, what is the most difficult part you think you pass on and you stop? Like when you're writing it, you stop, and it was like the most difficult time. Did you have any like that when you are writing the book?
So, if I back up a little bit, this is actually not the first book that I've written. It's the first book that I've published, but it's not the first book that I've written. So if I go back, my son was born in 1999, and so in 2000, I wrote a book called Should I Stay or Should I Go? And the book was about, I was in a struggle in my own mind. Should I stay at home with my child and raise my child, or should I go back to the workforce? Because I was a high-level executive in a biopharmaceutical firm.
Yeah.
And taking that and just pulling that money and pulling that who I was a woman in the field of science, and taking that and just kind of pulling the rug out from underneath me. I was like, do I want to do that, or do I want to stay at home and raise my child? So the book, Should I Stay or Should I Go, which again was never published, it was really just me trying to figure out what is right for me. But I wanted to obviously present it in a way that I didn't have a bias towards whether I should stay or should I go for the reader, right? And so a lot of times the books that I write are written because of my personal experiences, but I don't want my personal experiences to be totally what the book is about. I want it to be an informational book that people can go, okay, she's not taking one side or the other, she's just giving me this information.
And her experience.
Right,
also.
and my experience plays a part in that, yeah.
So, would you go back, get this book published? Why not? I love the title. and probably a lot of people are now in your shoes when you wear it.
Yeah, so I would say that that book is probably on a CD.
Yeah.
Like, I don't even know where it is anymore. I wouldn't be able to find it if I tried, probably. But that was the first one that I wrote. The second one I wrote, again, I'm a new mom.
Yeah.
And it was a couple years down the road. and I wrote a book on how to organize your home. Because
so
you know when you
have a passion for
yeah
a long time to write.
Yeah.
Maybe this is your first publisher now,
Right.
this book, but this is so you have it in your heart already, like you enjoy writing.
Yeah, the one set of books that I'm really excited about, that I haven't quite gotten all the right details figured out yet. But when my dad passed away in 2020, I decided that I was going, well, what happened is, when we announced his death on social media for all his, lifelong friends that knew him in that way, people came out of the woodworks, and they were talking about how my dad was such a, person that they enjoyed and influenced them in the field of journalism and everything. And I never knew my dad in that way, So it was really interesting to hear about the way my dad influenced other people through journalism. So in honor of my father, I wanted to write some children's books. So I started writing some children's books, and I was like, well, I don't know exactly how I should do it, in the very beginning stages. I'm not exactly sure what I should do, how I should do it. And then it dawned on to me, my father was a very avid golfer. He shot 13 holes in one in his lifetime. Now, I'm not a golfer, but I do know that shooting one hole in one in a lifetime is pretty impressive. But he shot 13 holes in one in his lifetime. Yeah. So I decided that I was going to write 13 kids' books in honor of my father. Over the past 2 years, since his death, that's kind of turned a different way in my head about how I want to present them to the world. And I think what I'm going to do instead is I'm going to do one book that has 13 chapters, because it's more of kids' books poetry than it is like a short story or anything. It's really just like a poem. So I thought it might make more sense just to put 13 poems into one book rather than 13 separate books. Yeah. So that's kind of my the way that I'm going to go for that. Yeah.
Great. Where do you see, Tracy, the book industry heading in the next decade? I'm hearing a lot of people enjoying again and loving to write again.
Yeah.
Where do you see, the industry is going?
Yeah, I mean, the industry is so big from a writer's perspective. The industry is so big that everyone can be in that space.
Yeah.
You just have to know who your target market is for your book, right?
Yeah.
But as far as from the reader's perspective, I'm one that I love to listen to books. I have my app, and I listen to my books on my app, and I listen to it when I'm getting ready in the morning, when I'm driving, whatever. That's an easy way for me to, be more literate, know more things, by listening to the books, because I have the time during that time. If I sit down and read a book, no way. I'm falling asleep, right? It's the same way with TV. I don't watch TV either, because as soon as I sit still, I fall asleep. But I think that hardback books are always going to be around.
I love to.
Yeah. And, people just want to feel it. They want to hold it. They want to touch it. They want to flip back and read the pages that they just missed and go back again. And a year from now, they see it on the bookshelf and they're like, oh, what was that one thing? Let me read that again.
That's me.
Yeah. So I think that hardback books are always going to be available.
Yeah.
But I think that definitely the listening to books is going to be pushed even more. Yeah.
And also you have to have a passion and love of writing.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the key to. So what advice would you give new writers?
Yeah.
We don't consider a new writer because you did write books, it wasn't published. That's amazing.
Yeah.
So what do you give advice for this new writer?
Yeah, for new writers, I say just live your passion. And the one thing that really just always kind of was in the back of my mind, and this kind of goes back to what I had said earlier about the mental, finding out that I had some mental health issues that needed to be addressed, is I had anxiety, right? And so in the back of my mind, I always thought, who would buy this book? Like, who would buy a book about should I stay or should I go? Who would buy a book about organizing? You know, I never had enough confidence in myself to put it out there for people to see. But when I got to a subject matter that really spoke to me, when I got to the mental health aspect, and after COVID, like the increase in teens in mental health has skyrocketed. It's based on all the research that I found. And when I realized this book needed to be in everybody's hands, I was like, I got to get this out as fast as I can. And so that was kind of the way that I was like, that my anxiety was still talking to me, saying, who's going to buy what you've written, because you're not a psychiatrist, you're not a psychologist, but I'm a mom, and I'm a coach, and my book was for parents and coaches to help these students that are having, you know, mental health issues in their realm of influence. My new book that's coming out is called Navigating Your Child's Mental Health. And being able to understand that this topic is so stigmatized in our communities, and being able to get out this information and say, we don't need to stigmatize this anymore. We go to a doctor when you know, our toe hurts. We go to a doctor when our belly hurts. We go to a doctor when our mind hurts. And so getting that information out there and making mental health not as stigmatized is really, really important to me. Not only for my family, my kids that I coach, but for myself. You know, we've got to understand, especially in today's day and age, you know, people back in, I'm older, we'll just leave it at that. But in my day and age, growing up, people didn't really address mental health issues. I have come to find that, you know, in my age, some of the issues that I'm experiencing are based off of a tornado that destroyed my hometown when I was in 3rd grade. So the anxiety that I have now is because of that moment in time.
The best.
Yeah. And so, you know, we have to see that a lot of times, you know, we overlooked those things back in the old days. And now I'm so proud of our next generation coming up, because they are not afraid to say, I have mental health problems. I need help. You know, there are still some that want to hide behind that mask. But when you're able to open up and share that you have these mental health problems, it just makes so many things easier in your life. And I know that didn't fully answer your question, but to answer your question, just be assured that there will be people that want to buy what you are selling. And that is the biggest thing. Like, if you are passionate about a topic, and, you know, whether it's fiction, nonfiction, whatever, if you are passionate about a topic, write about it, have confidence in yourself, and just do it. You can self-publish, you can hire a publishing company. I self-published because, you know, I didn't have the money to publish, and I was like, okay, maybe I won't publish because, like, I don't have the money to publish. And then I was like, well, I can't say no to self-publishing, right? Yeah. But I mean, there's definitely some pros and cons of having a publishing company work for you, because, you know, they'll help you to sell the book too. So, yeah.
Any favorite book in the
Yes.
past other than Tracy Endo?
Yes.
You did enjoy reading, and it was special for me.
Yes. Most recently, I read Michelle Obama's Becoming. It was an amazing book. I know I'm kind of behind the times getting in and reading that book because it's been out for a while, but it was amazing to me. It was her story as a young child growing up in Chicago, and, you know, not in the greatest neighborhood in Chicago, and you know, just her rise with President Obama to the White House, and how that affected her life, and she very clearly says towards the end of the book, I am never going to run for president. Like, darn it. But yeah, it was an amazing book. Yeah.
That's good. I didn't read that book yet.
Yeah.
I have 2 books. I'm behind. I have 2 books to read, and maybe the third one will be her book.
Yeah.
Coming.
Yeah.
How can the readers purchase your book?
So my book is on Amazon. You can just type in Mind Over Metal, and it's MEDAL, like a metal, you know. And Tracy Endo, ENDO. And it'll pop up on Amazon. It's on Kindle for sale, but it's not a hardback. Sorry about that. Maybe my next one will be a hardback. But yeah, you can listen to it online, or read it online actually. Yeah.
Tracy, good luck with
Thank
all your goals.
Thank you very much.
It seems to me you have a lot of goals you
Yeah.
want to pursue for this year, so good luck to you.
Thank you.
I want to bring you back when you have your first children book.
Yes.
So remember that, audience. I'm bringing you back because we'll be excited to hear about it.
Yeah.
And thank you for everything
Thank
you do.
you. Thank you.
Also, you know, your career, it's amazing.
Thank you.
And it's hard. It's hard. But can you share with us a little bit about what is your website
For my business?
Yeah.
Oh, it's www.novasportscoach.com. And I'm on all the social media. I'm on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank
Tracy,
you so
for being
much.
here today.
Thank you.
Thank you for sharing